Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jodie and I help you change your beliefs so you can change your body, your health and your life. So as you can see, we are in a very different location for this video. I wanted to make a very just raw, on the spot, impromptu kind of no edits video while I'm here in Tuscany, Italy, to explain some questions I've been getting about the trip I'm on. So it is kind of a work trip. I am not on holidays, but I'm obviously in a very different environment. I am totally out of routine. And a comment I got from one of the stories I posted from a client was, how are you looking so good even though I am away? I haven't been weight training because it just hasn't worked out. I did have that intention to keep it up, but it hasn't happened, and I don't feel guilty about it because I'm so consistent when I'm home. It's fine. Like, I can take 2 or 3 weeks off and I'm not going to lose progress. I'm going to get straight back into it when I get home, and that's it. So I have been staying on track though with my food, which is helping me to feel good and still look my best. And in fact, I think I am actually losing some body fat because one of the pairs of jeans I have were getting a bit tight because I have been bulking this year or gaining weight, and they're actually feeling looser again. I don't have scales here. I don't know what I weigh, but I just know by those jeans and how they're fitting, I'm definitely not gaining weight, even though I am eating whatever I really desire up until 2 days ago. And I'm going to explain why in this video. I have kind of started paying a lot more attention to what I'm eating in terms of staying away from gluten in Italy, which seems crazy, but the most important thing for me is to feel good, because when I feel my best, that means everything else just happens easily. I get more out of my life. I can enjoy life better. I spent probably the last 3 or 4 days super bloated, like so bloated it was just uncomfortable, and then my stomach started to just feel this dull chronic pain that just would not go away. And so basically, I know I'm gluten sensitive. I don't eat gluten at home. Well, I've done my best to cut it out now, but coming here I thought I would give it a go again, because I have heard that gluten in Europe or some parts of Europe is a bit different, and because it's prepared differently, pasta and bread and all of that, it might not cause any issues for you. So I gave it a go. I spent probably 4 days in Florence eating all the pasta and eating all the bread and whatever I wanted, basically still within reason, and I'm going to explain that in a minute to show you how I kind of stay on top of everything without tracking, but I still get to enjoy what I want. I was eating everything for about 4 or 5 days, probably 1 day when I got to Tuscany as well, or maybe even 2. So let's just say 4 to 6 days I was eating all the pasta and bread, and it just got too much. And that's when I spent a day in pain, and it just wasn't worth it. On top of that, I was like lacking energy, had brain fog, and it wasn't due to lack of sleep. I've actually been sleeping great since the day I got overseas, despite having a 24-hour flight and going to a totally different time zone. I actually went to London first, and I had no jet lag, which was not really a surprise because it's happened to me before. But basically, I don't eat on high altitude, long distance flights because they are a really big stress on your body. And if you don't eat, basically you can get to your destination, and you also have to be mindful of when you're sleeping on the plane. So I started sleeping on the plane when I would be on London sleep time, and then I got to London and felt amazing, went for a massive walk that afternoon, went to bed at normal time, and woke up with the sunrise, which is when I normally wake up. So I was in a really good sleep routine from the start, didn't have any jet lag. And then I get to Italy and was eating pasta and bread and literally felt like I had jet lag. So I obviously didn't, but that's what I felt like. And it's just not worth experiencing the rest of this trip, having fun with my friends and stuff, in pain, because I can't have fun. So I have started being more careful with what I'm choosing from the menu, and we've been going out for a lot of meals. We are in a villa now, so we have been cooking some things like breakfast and sometimes lunch or sometimes dinner, but I just make smart choices, and it hasn't been hard. Like, yes, you think of Italy as all the pizza, pasta, bread that you want, and there is so much of that, but that is not all there is to Italian cuisine. So I have been usually ordering some kind of meat, like the second course option, whatever it is on the menu, and then a side dish. And often, well, everywhere I've been going, apart from one pizza restaurant, there have been potatoes that I can order on the side, and some like spinach or zucchini or whatever's in season, right? They usually cook with the season or cook with the region that you're in. So it's been easy. And then the antipasti stuff, like the cheese and the meats, I can eat that without bread. That's easy. And yeah, so I've actually been surviving without gluten for the last 2 days. The only time it was difficult was when I'm with a group of friends, right? So I can't always be, well, I'm not being difficult. I don't want to be difficult. I don't want to put other people out. So we had to go to this pizza restaurant, and I ended up not getting pizza for dinner. I had a slice of the cheesecake, which probably had some gluten in the base, but definitely not as much as what is in a massive pizza. And I ended up feeling fine after that. So sometimes you have to make some sacrifices, but I don't feel like I'm missing out because I'm not in pain. I feel good. I'm about to go about my day, and I'm still eating food that tastes great, that's different from what I eat at home, and I enjoy it. So I'm not so focused on having to eat pasta and pizza to be happy while I'm here. And if you are someone that, you know, you get your happiness from the food you eat, like, yes, food can be pleasurable, but you shouldn't be so in your head that you have to eat pasta while you're in Italy to be happy. And if you have that issue, just watching this massive mosquito that is coming by, I don't know if it's a mosquito or a dragonfly, but anyway, I don't want it eating me because they blow up, so their bites on me. Anyway, yeah, you really have to question, like, what's more important, feeling good or eating the pasta? And in some cases, maybe eating the pasta is, but after a few days of eating pasta, I was done. Like, that's enough for me. I would rather feel good. And so that is how I'm going to continue on the rest of this trip. And I'm actually off to Paris next, so I might have some kind of pastry, but I'm really going to try to avoid it because it's just not worth it to me. Anyway, so what else I've been doing to kind of stay on track without tracking is I allow myself one meal of the day where I can kind of go crazy, and I call it a feast, right? And so I am in a big group, not a big group, there's 6 of us, and there are some people that really like their food in this group, and so they are ordering starters for the table, they are ordering drinks for everyone as well. And I love my wine, so I have been tempted by the wine here because it is amazing. So I have been drinking, I have been eating starters, I have been eating a main course as well, and often dessert, but that is my feast for the day. And then I'm mindful of what I have around or in my other meals. So for example, when we were in the hotel in Florence, there was a buffet breakfast, and I would make the most of that because then I can save money, right? And it's included, so why not? I don't usually love eating breakfast when I'm away. Like, now that we're at the villa, I've just been having a coffee in the morning and usually some kind of like cookie, but sometimes not. That's how I get to enjoy the sweets here. So yeah, I've been having a coffee and just like waiting until lunch to eat, which is pretty easy. And then at the hotel, I was having like the buffet breakfast, but I was skipping all the breads, I was skipping all the carbs because I don't really need that from a hotel. It's going to be better from a restaurant, right? So I was saving my carbs for my feast at whatever restaurant we would go to, whether that's for lunch or dinner. And then I was making sure I was eating all the protein I could and vegetables or fruit to kind of like fill me up. And that will kind of get me through the day until dinner, because then I would just get by on snacks. So not necessarily snacks, but if I wanted a gelato, like we have had this mission to eat gelato every single day while we're here because it's amazing. So that would get me through. And then having a milky coffee would get me through a bit more. Maybe going out for a Aperol Spritz or some kind of drink in the afternoon, that would get me through. So if I had that for breakfast, then I'll just not really worry about having a proper lunch. I would have my little snacks here and there based on whatever we come across through our adventures and what we felt like. And then I felt like I was getting to enjoy myself, and then I'd have my feast for dinner. And so that kind of allowed me to eat whatever I want without going overboard, because if you're having big meals, you don't really need 3 big meals a day, right? Most of you don't anyway, especially if you're getting starters and drinks and dessert and a main. So like, you wouldn't eat that much at home. You just have to think, like, be a bit sensible, right? Like, what would I eat at home? Like, you don't need to go crazy to enjoy yourself, especially if you're doing that for one meal. The other meals, you can be a bit more kind of controlled and mindful, and I haven't felt like I'm missing out. Even one of the days, my friends were all eating for lunch and I wasn't hungry either. So it just doesn't make sense to me to eat if I'm not hungry. So I just didn't have anything. I had a coffee, I think, and they all had drinks and food, and it was fine. And then I got to dinner, and that's when I had my feast. So there's that. And then what else have I been doing? When I was in London, I would be walking around heaps, and so usually it was easier to skip lunch. So I'd have a breakfast and then again skip lunch. I always find it easy to skip lunch for some reason, but there has been days where we went to this sandwich shop in Italy before I went gluten-free and got a massive focaccia sandwich thing that they make, and it was so big. I had half of it there, then I had half in the afternoon, and then I didn't really need dinner. So I can't even remember what I ate, but it definitely wasn't, I think we might have stayed at home or just had a dessert, I can't remember, but it wasn't anything, like, it wasn't like I had this massive sandwich and then went out, and I think that was the night I had the cheesecake for dinner actually, so I had dessert. So I didn't need a massive meal and then dessert on top of that, as well as drinks. Like, it's just too much. So I think that's a mosquito. Anyway, you just have to be a bit sensible, and it's really not that hard. One of the guys here said they were all cooking pasta for dinner, and he's like, oh wow, like, your willpower to say no to that is amazing. And it's like, well, I don't really have a choice. First of all, I can go around in pain all day, or I can enjoy the pasta. Or no, I can go around in pain and enjoy the pasta, or I can be pain free and enjoy another meal that I just make up myself. So of course I'm gonna just enjoy something else. I have had pasta while I'm here. It's like, yes, I love it, I really do, when I am in Italy and it's like authentic and amazing. It is amazing, but I don't feel like I'm missing out because I don't have to be in pain. So it just makes sense to me. Anyway, so I think that's it. Like, my biggest tips: don't eat on the plane, because then you land and you feel great from the start. And if you are gluten sensitive, which a lot of you are, and you probably don't even realize it, but if you go away and you come to somewhere like Italy and you're eating all the pizza and the pasta and you get like really bloated, and you just like, if I didn't know better, I would have thought I was just gaining weight and I was getting fat, and you know, I was just putting on weight because I was eating so much. But that's not the case. It was gluten, and I was just bloated and inflamed. Even my friend here, she doesn't eat gluten back at home. She lives in London, and she has been like, oh my god, my rings aren't fitting properly because my hands are so inflamed from the gluten that she's been eating. So if it's worth it for you, keep going and feeling shit, but like, it's just not worth it to me. So yeah, don't eat on the plane. That really helps make a difference. And stick to like eating one big meal a day, and then keep breakfast or lunch as mostly protein and veggies, and just stick to your boundaries as well. Like, I know a lot of people feel that pressure when they're around other people to do what everyone else is doing, but people usually care just about themselves. As long as they're happy, as long as they get to eat what they want to eat, then it doesn't really matter what you're doing. And if they're a good friend anyway, they should be supportive of what you choose to do. You don't need to be difficult about it, and I definitely have not been difficult about it. As I said, like, we went to the pizza restaurant because everyone wanted to go there. There's not gluten-free pizza there, so I just had dessert, and I would have been happy not to eat and eat later. Like, that's fine as well. I work around other people. I'm not difficult, but I do what is best for me and what makes me feel good, because it's just worth it to me to feel good. Like, that's the most important thing. Anyway, so I hope that explained it all. I have also been very, very active in terms of steps. We walk like everywhere because it really is the best way to explore. And yeah, like, I was already pretty active with steps back home, but we were breaking records for my step levels. One of the days we did like 40k steps in the day. We walked 2 hours to go to this little town for dinner, and then walked back instead of getting a taxi or something. And when you're with a group of people, like, it's kind of fun because you're just talking and laughing along the way, exploring things, taking photos. It has been raining a lot as well, so we've been walking in the rain, and it's been fun. Like, you can't let that stop you. And I guess it shows you why it's important to be fit from the start, because then you can walk to these places and be more active in these destinations and see more. So anyway, I think it's starting to rain. I am glad I got this video out because I tried to take it before. You would think I'm in the middle of Tuscany, like pretty much in the middle of nowhere, and it's silent, but the guy that runs the villa came to mow the lawns, so that was happening for a while. And then there's a vineyard in the background there, and the guy came to, or one of the guys over there came to put the pesticides on the, he was using a tractor and spraying anyway, so I assume it's pesticides. But it was very noisy and it was crazy because I was like, I want to take this video. Anyway, if you have any questions, I think I answered everything. Yeah, I've been very, very active with steps, not to burn calories, but just to make use of the food that I'm eating. Like, I have the energy, we may as well walk and keep up with everything. Even though in Tuscany we have been driving around a lot, we're still getting out, seeing all the towns, and averaging around 12k steps a day. So despite hours of driving every day. Anyway, it is really raining now, so thank you for watching. If you liked it, please like it. If you'd like to see more, please subscribe. If you have questions, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video.